What is up, guys? So I'm going to quickly run through. This is probably the biggest thing that has gotten me to where I am at such a young age is sticking to a schedule rigorously and planning stuff out in advance in order for it to get done. So we all know like the cliche quote, if it's not on the schedule, it's probably not going to get done, which is why, especially when it comes to creating content, posting on my story and giving value and being consistent, the first thing I do is pre-plan when I'm going to do that. So this, I mean, there's a lot of like little things here that I'm automating at this point. Like, I don't do the followers anymore. Texting calls that can be automated. So like, you guys can pick apart this schedule and be like, you could automate that. You could refine that and blah, blah, blah. Save yourself time here, 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 whatever. This is just to give you a rough estimate on like what my day typically looks like. And I just want you to notice a couple things. So number one is I literally block out from 6 a.m. when I wake up to 10 p.m. when I eat dinner, go to bed. Everything is blocked out. Hanging out with the family is blocked out. Eating lunch is blocked out. Everything has a specific, like allotted amount of time in my day. Because there's some like rule, I don't know if it's like Parkinson's or something, but there's some kind of rule out there that basically states that like you'll fill up however much time with a project. Like if you give yourself 2 hours to do something for a specific project, you're basically going to use that full 2 hours. Versus if it's a project that you could probably get done in 30 minutes or 45 minutes, you're more likely to get it done in that time frame and be more efficient with your time. So that's why you'll see like with all this stuff, I don't really use like Google calendars. I mean, I do, but like nothing crazy. Like a lot of this stuff is just in my notes section on my phone and I just follow it to a T, and it's helped me, get to where I'm at today. So I'll block out like, okay, I have these calls, and after the calls, this is my time to eat lunch, follow up with people, call hot leads, whatever. 5 to 6 group call. And then it's like, I'll block out specific amounts of time to do things, right? Like I'm not going to give myself 2 hours to DM new followers because realistically it takes 15 to 20 minutes. So this is kind of how I go about my schedule, and I'll just basically mark this off, like give it a little checkbox, get that little dopamine to, finish it off, and then keep going throughout my day. And then the next day, like at nighttime here, like 9, 10, 11 p.m., I'll make my next schedule, right? So let's say, for instance, over the weekend, maybe I want to film content. I put it in my schedule. So I have my notes section where this is listed out day by day. And then more like long-term schedules where I block out my calls, podcasts that I might be doing in the future, whether it's a week or 2 weeks out. In my reminders, I basically put the date and the time. So like actually like reminds me when it's coming up basically. So I do use my reminders and like some other apps to basically message and let me know when things are coming up. So I generally know it's happening throughout my week and throughout my month. But this is basically what I use as a guiding map for my entire day. So every night, block out, 10 minutes to write a schedule and just go through every little thing. Because if it's not going to be filled up in here, you're just going to dilly dally and use your space. You'll probably use more effort and time thinking about what the heck to do versus just writing it down and pre-planning, being proactive to get it done. So one thing that I've seen a lot of you guys struggle with, whether you're a client or a follower or a fan of mine, is you struggle to post consistently. You struggle to post in your feed consistently. You struggle to create content consistently. You struggle to post on stories consistently. And the reason for that is because you're not marking it down on your schedule. And even if you are, you don't have a clear process. So just to give you a quick inside scoop on how I typically go about my process for my content, Mondays is usually when I want to block off time to get the creative juices flowing. I want to do research. I want to see what other people are posting. I want to see like what I can conjure up in my head as far as like the creativity, topics, the niche. And I want to do research. I want to dive into podcasts or books or just see like what generally is going on in the branding, personal branding, lead generation space, right? And that's going to get my juices flowing to figure out what general ideas or topics can I create in this space. So once I do that, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays are usually the days I'll write down. Like I'll have maybe 10 general topics or 10 general ideas. I will basically take those ideas, start writing scripts. So pop that all into ChatGPT, and it will give me actual scripts like, hey, based on this information, write me 10 scripts for my reels that give a hook, value, call to action, make them about 45 seconds long. And then it spits out really specific scripts. Then once I have my scripts on like Wednesday, Thursday or Friday is when I sit down and film. By the way, I only do this like once a month. So like for a week straight, right? I'll have ideation, scripting, filming, and then I send it off to my editing team. So I don't even edit at this point. And by doing that and splitting it up throughout my week, but putting it on my schedule proactively, it's basically 100% going to get done. And I do it in batches of like 8, 10, sometimes even 15 at a time. So realistically, I only have to do it maybe once a month because that's only talking head content. The other stuff is just B-roll content, photos, photo dumps, filler content, which I just kind of create on my own, which again goes in the schedule. And you'll even see here, like I try to post like value stories and sometimes even sales stories, like call to actions. So you'll see, like if you wake up, you're almost always going to see a new story from my page because I literally put it on my schedule. Like, hey, by the way, it's 9 a.m. It's time to go post a value story, right? And by putting it on my schedule, it's something that I literally have to check off and have to be actively thinking about doing. Otherwise, it's probably not going to get done, right? So if you guys don't have this in your schedule, like no wonder it's not getting done because like you have a million other things to get done. So why the heck would you just randomly pop up a story post or randomly come up with a real idea and film it? You know what I mean? Just want to give you that quick inside scoop on like how I go about scheduling content, how I go about just going throughout my day. I'm very strict with the schedule, but the thing is I'm not too strict to where it's like a fault. You know what I mean? Because let's just hypothetically say I go through all this stuff, I get to these calls, and then my 12:45 doesn't show up. Okay, now I have like a whole hour basically to do whatever the heck I want. So typically what I'll do is, okay, let's say this person doesn't show up. I'm not just going to waste that hour. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of this stuff, let's say just responding to DMs or writing out an email. Maybe what I'll do is I'll go back and I'll write that email over here. You know what I mean? And then that's done. So that way I have more time over here. And typically what will happen is maybe one of these calls doesn't show up. So then I have that extra hour to move some of this stuff down here. And then that frees up some more time to spend time with the family or hang out. So that's typically how I go about it, right? So I'm strict with my schedule, but not too strict to where it's like, we got to stick to the schedule and we can't move. Like I'm very flexible, right? I try to be flexible. I just want to make this quick video because that is probably the biggest thing that has helped me with getting shit done, moving the needle forward, and just building a business. Like if you can't stick to a simple schedule, good luck trying to be successful because this is like the foundations of becoming successful. So yeah, hopefully this helped.